Hello and welcome back. Sorry for the delays about reading, but I will be right on it. So, without further ado, Running with Ponies Part 2. After tucking Fluttershy to bed, Nightshade let out a little laugh. It was silly how she would get so embarrassed that she passed out, especially since she was the one who kissed him this time. And also adorable beyond measure. She was so kind, caring. She worked herself to exhaustion if it meant helping others. She had already helped him and Scully out so much. While it was true that she helped her with her animals in return, this wasn't like any normal I scratch your scratch my back that he had been done on Earth. They genuinely wanted the other to be happy. This was a strange feeling for him. He hadn't ever felt this way. Anyone. Shaking his head to clear his thoughts, he went back downstairs and went to sleep on the couch. Hey, long time no see, Lyra's back. Well, this isn't my favorite psychic stalker. Nightshade always was good with sarcasm. Lyra pouted and then perked up. Anyway, I'm heading back to Ponyville just in time for running of the leaves, she said. Cool, I'm running in it too, you know. Awesome. Now I get to see human running style. Wouldn't it be something if you won, wouldn't it, huh? She responded. Well, that's a plan. I may have made bets with the Rainbow Dash and Applejack, and if I wanted to beat them, I'm pretty much going to have to come in first. He said back. Well, if you got your work cut out for you, then don't you? I wonder how well you go against those two, she pouted. Well, I can't do that badly. I can't use my power during the race, and Rainbow can't use her wings, so it's all even a playing field. I'm pretty fast and I have lots of endurance, even without them, though. I would do okay, he said confidently. I'll be cheering for you, Lyra said. And with that, she was gone. Nightshade slept the rest of the night uninterrupted. I'll be cheering for you, Lyra said. Oh, sorry. The next morning, Nightshade was awoken by Skulu jumping up and down at the edge of the bed, and Flasheye was woken by Angel jumping on her head. Oh, Angel, I wish you wouldn't wake me up that way, she said meekly. The angry bunny just crossed his arms and frowned. He wanted to watch the running and he was actually excited about it, but they were taking their sweet time getting out of the bed. School was also wanted to watch as her dad and Idol were racing against each other. After everyone getting some breakfast, which consisted by omelets and orange juice and a carrot for Angel. They all headed out where the running would begin. Rainbow Dash and Applejack were already there, as well as Apple Bloom, Sweetbell, Rarity, and Twilight. Hi, you actually showed up, Rainbow Dash mocked her. I thought you'd be so embarrassing to losing to me that you wouldn't even come. Nah, I wouldn't miss this even if I wasn't going to win and make you work instead of napping. He shot back. Applejack laughed. Rainbow? Working? Dash was the laziest pony around. The Pegasus shot her Earth pony friend the glare, who returned the look and tied up her wing. None of them fancy powers, you understand? Applejack said, giving Nightshade a very serious look. Wouldn't dream of it, he responded. Pinky and Spike were already overhead, in a hot air balloon, commenting on the race as usual. Since 3 years ago, when Pinky had gone too much crazy with the microphone, Spike was the one doing the commentary. Twilight, Fluttershy, Applebloom, Squidabelle, and Rarity began heading off to the finish line. Nightshade stopped Rarity to ask something. No offense, Rarity, but why are you here? I didn't think you liked this thing like this. Well, after the Sisterhood social a few years ago, I decided to be more open-minded about outdoor activities. Besides, there are some photographers at the finish line, and I want them all to see you in the stunning cloak I made, she explained with a smile. It was true. His cloak was stunning, and while he would normally wear it only in town, this was a special occasion. He wanted to look at his best. He headed to the finish line with the others. That's when Nightshade heard over the loudspeakers. Every pony in the standing line. The running of the list will soon begin. That was the mayor. He saw her once in a while, normally when she was out on a break from her endless piles of paperwork. She was the mayor after all, and events like this had to show up. He couldn't even imagine having to sit inside all day, surrounded by files and forms. His train of thought was interrupted by a voice that came over the mic. This year, over the Battle of the Beast, here's the year's winner, Rainbow Dash, Pinkie Pie yelled. As the cyan mare struck a post, there was a flash of cameras. And here's last year's second place, Applejack. AJ wasn't nearly as much of a show-off, and so just give a quick nod of courtesy. And the newcomer, not the monstrous monster from the Everfree Forest, a newest resident of Ponyville and a local hero, Scootaloo's dad, she said. His name's Nightshade, Pinkie Pie, Spike corrected, obvious upset that even thought that he was the main commenter. Pinkie was stealing his thunder. At hearing his name, he quite gave a quite quick bow for not bragging this as same as Applejack. Spike went announcing the other racers, and finally, the running of the list was about to get underway. Just don't cry when you lose, Rainbow mocked. I won't be the one crying, he shot back and gave Applejack a quick look. Good luck. Let's have some fun. She nodded, and the three racers took their position with the others. On your marks, the mayor started. Get set, Spike announced. Go, 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 screamed Pinkie. With that, they all went off. Rainbow Dash and Applejack quickly pulled out ahead of the pack, leaving Nightshade behind. They were still going easy, so to save energy for the final stretch. So they decided to chat. Poor guy, I guess he just can't keep up with us. Now I feel kinda bad about making him have help with all those trees, when all he wagered is dinner at my place, the farm pony said. Don't be, he's a slowpoke who can't keep up with his bets. That's his problem, Dash mocked. Who are you calling a slowpoke, Nightshade? The pair of ponies looked in front of them to see Nightshade's smiling face. He was running backwards, slowing down and settling to next to the pair, turning around and ran normally. What's the matter? You don't honestly expect someone to be running as he's kissed her off for the past 3 years to be slow, didn't you? They stared at him with a wide eye. They actually never had expecting that. When he failed to keep at the start, Rainbow got mad. What do you say when we take up a notch? She said, looking at Nightshade, then to Applejack. For the two of them, they that's barely was barely a jog. They obviously trained for this. Fine by us. They responded in unison. With that, the trio doubled their speed, kicking up leaves as they ran. After they had run a mile, Rainbow noticed that neither of her companions had slacked off either. They all had beads of sweat forming on their heads. You not using your powers, are you? She asked him. If I was, I wouldn't be even here. I've been sipping on lemonade at the finish line, he laughed. Yet this just made Dash even more angry. The three picked up speed again. Girl had cleared a third of the distance while the rest of the pack was reaching the 1/10th mark. They couldn't even see them anymore. Leaves fell from the trees as the three ran by, the force of their legs shaking them from the leaves. Applejack was looking winded, while Nightshade was grinning ear to ear. Rainbow had a nasty scowl. The farm pony began to fall behind the other two. It looks like Applejack just can't keep up with the speed of Rainbow Dash and Nightshade. We all know that Dash is fast, but who knew that he would be able to keep her as well and for so long? Spike said over the speakers. Sorry, you two. Looks like I can't keep up. Be at my place for dinner tonight, okay, Shade? He almost tripped at having someone use a nickname, but he recovered and kept going. All right, he yelled back. At this confirmation, AJ slowed down to a saunter. She was meant for endurance, not speed. There was no way she could keep up with those two, and for that long. I must say, you're faster than I thought. Rainbow was getting a little worried. Not getting cider was a big deal, but to have the actual work? That was unthinkable. She ran full tilt now. She couldn't go any faster without using her wings for added speed. Surprisingly enough, Nightshade kept up. Hey, Rainbow, I think I bought the agreement, he said. What, are you trying to back out of the bet? Actually, since I won my bet with AJ, there's no need to hold back anymore. What you say, you can use your wings as long as you don't fly, and I can use my powers as long as I don't drain you. Rainbow thought about it. If he used his powers, he could lose his exhaustion. But if she could use her wings, that would give her some major speed. Done! She shouted, lifting her wings and throwing off the rope. She began to pull away. As he was about to open up, he heard a voice in his head to trip him over. Hey, how's the race going? Lyra asked. Oh, it seems Nightshade got distracted by something and tripped over Rainbow Dash rope, said Spike on the announcement. Oops, sorry, said before leaving his mind. Getting back up, Nightshade said to himself, Great, now I have only way to use that. It was only about a fourth of the race left, and since he did just call off the deal with Dash, there's no harm it anymore. Having already recovered his stamina, he began running even faster. His pupil dilated, his heart pounded. He used 5 years of his lifespan with this time, and a swell of green mist covered him. All his aches and pains were gone. He picked up speed. He's not out of the race yet, screamed Pinky. He looks like he just ate a triple-decker triple chocolate fudge cake and running faster even before. Pinky, if he ate that he would have full stomach and would move slower, not faster, Spike said in a sarcastic note. Never bothers me, said Pinky. Huh, what's that? She pointed at Nightshade, at the mark cone forming in front of him. Boom! A shriek of white streak zoomed through the forest. The blast rocketed the hot air balloon, causing the hyper-pink pony to almost fall out of it. Rainbow looked behind her in disbelief. A sonic boom? She couldn't only pull that off if she flew fast enough as she could, while using the gravity to give her speed. He did it while just by running. The white streak zoomed past her, forcefully pulling the reefs of the reef in his wake, and making Rainbow Dash spin out of from the wind coming off it. What the hell? She screamed as she regained her bearings. She was utterly flabbergasted. She quickly got back to her running. While she reached the finish line, Saw him standing on the other side, looking tired but sitting in a recliner zipping lemonade. He also looked a bit paler, but she paid no mind. Well, hiya, Rainbow. Since uh, you to come. Take a seat. You look exhausted, he mocked. She turned red in the face, and not from the embarrassment. What the heck did you just do? She said, still unbearable to believe what did happen. I broke the sound barrier. Almost didn't make it. After I got tripped out by that rope, I didn't have any other choice. No way I got to let you get out of the help me with the house, he laughed. Dash was about to tell him no, he cheated, but they had called off that part of the deal, and he had been tripped by her rope. She wasn't mad anymore. She was sad. Well, congratulations, he said with a frown. What's the matter? Had a good race. I barely beat you. He tried to comfort the downtrodden mare. Yeah, but now I'm not the fastest in Equestria anymore. She was about to cry. What are you talking about? You're the fastest flyer in Equestria. Running was never in the description. Even if I had wings, I'd still never beat you in the air. Besides, I had to use up a huge amount of energy to be able to pull that off. And not something I could do every day, he said. At that, she perked up. Heh, I guess you're right. You got this title fastest runner, while one day we're going to have a race, you on foot and me in the air, she said happily. Now that she wasn't worried about her title, she loved the prospect of having someone to keep up with her. Applejack finished the race, looking partly mad, partly confused. After explaining that he had won his bet with her, that they decided to call off their no wings, no power deal, she looked at happier. At least they didn't cheat. Well, you're still coming for dinner tonight, right? She asked. Yep. I see you at 6, she responded. Yep. I tell Big Mac not to buck you, she said with a laugh. He cringed at the thought. During the race, Fudge took up a position not quite near the finish line. Lara sat next to her. We might as well relax, Flasheye. It's not going to be here for a while before any pony get this far, Lyra said. I guess you're right, said the timid Pegasus. No sooner she had spoken, after heard a soft whining noise. Looking down at the path, they saw Rainbow Dash running as fast as she could, flapping her wings for extra thrust. She zoomed past, kicking up dust and leaves. I guess I was wrong, said Lyra. Looks like she actually moving this time. Where's Nightshade? Flatshade said, looking bored. I'm not sure he'll be along any minute. Speaking of which, what do you think of him? Asked the teal unicorn. Flatshade blushed at the question. Well, he's nice and he's good with animals. He's patient with Angel, even though Angel obviously doesn't like him. He's a good dad to Schooly, hard worker, and she trailed off in her usual manner. He shows me things I could never see otherwise. He has lots of good ideas, and he thinks I'm cute, she said, the last part too quiet to hear. I'm sorry he thinks you are. What? Asked Lyra. She was interrupted by a very loud, whirling noise. Blowing past the pier, they saw Nightshade. Just for a moment, they caught a glimpse of him, running through the leaves, his shimmering cloak flowing in the wind. They both thought the same thing. He was the picture of strength and grace. About 200 meters down the path, a massive explosive. The boom knocked them both over, but not painfully. Getting the bearings, Lyra motioned to Flasheye. Come on, she yelled. pulling the timid Pegasus along with her till she could run on her own. While they ran to the finish line, Lyra asked a question. You two are a unit? She asked. We are what? Fluttershy asked, genuinely confused. Is he your special pony? Lyra responded, trying to be plain as possible. Fluttershy blushed. She would like him to be. They, they had agreed to just stay as friends, despite what had happened the day before. No, we are just good friends, Fluttershy said meekly. She didn't hear Lyra's whisper. Good. In what some creepy voice. Not she see the smile break out across of her face. Applejack passed them by along the way, but other than warm greeting, they said nothing. Back at the finish line, Fluttershy, Lyra arrived finally. School was already there, bouncing up and down with glee. Pinkie Pie had already announced the winner with a great excitement, and Spike continued the comment for the rest of the races, who have been reached the third, fourth mark. Diamond Tiara walked up to Nightshade, followed by Silver Spoon. So you won the running of the leaves? Diamond asked. Yep, sure I did. Well, you're still lame, she said with a spite. Phew, whatever. He didn't care in the slightest what a pair of spoiled brats thought of him. With a huff, Diamond and Silver walked away. I thought you were great, said Fluttershy. Woohoo, she cheered. And I thought that you were amazing, said Lyra before jumping on him, kissing him on the lips. Gah, he said, pushing her off onto the ground. What the hell, Lyra? It's your reward, she said, looking for another round. Well, I don't want it, said angrily. Lyra looked heartbroken. Listen, Lyra, I know you meant well, but I don't think of you that way, he said, now calm. But I saved you. I brought you to this world. I listened to your problems. I'm the one who knows your past, and I understand you, she began sobbing. And I'm grateful for that. That doesn't change the fact that I don't think of you that romantically. I'm not ready for a relationship. Even if I was, I would not be with you. I'm sorry, he said, now depressed unicorn. No, I'm sorry. I wouldn't have done that. I should have asked for how he felt. I just go. Lyra walked away with her head heaved low. Luckily, Nightshade and Rainbow Dash had gone so fast that they arrived before the camera crew could even set up. So Lyra's humiliation would not be caught on film and published. Being tied from the race, having used 5 years of his life, now having to deal with emotional Lyra, he just wanted to leave. Hey, Rainbow, came by my house tomorrow so we can start. She nodded in agreement. He was not looking forward to this. For having to actual work. Turn to Fluttershy, he said. Let's go home. Arriving at Fluttershy's cottage, the two of them bent quickly the whole way, with Scootaloo, who had been missed Lyra's episode, bouncing along happily behind them, much like Pinkie Pie would have if she were there. Scootaloo went to talk about the other Crusaders at the clubhouse, leaving Nightshade and Fluttershy alone, except for Angel, of course. Do you think I was too rough with her? Please, be honest with him, he asked. I think you did the right thing. If it were me, I would probably fainted, but anyone else would have been furious. She just jumped out like that. It's not something you wanted, and she did it without asking you. You're not mad at her, are you? Fluttershy was always comforting, even when she should be jealous. Giving her a big hug, she let a little squeak and hugged him back. Thanks. As for what she was about understanding, there's something you should know. Larry is known as a telepath. He can speak to others using her mind. For the longest time, however, she went to sleep. She would peer into my mind and talk to me, he began. Well, while I was in the hospital with the princesses, they were in my mind and I showed them my past. Lara was there too, because she couldn't control it, and I couldn't lock her out of my mind when I was asleep. She saw all the horrible things that happened and was understanding about the things I had to do. Because of her obsession with humans, she worked with Twilight to try to bring one here, and they got me. If it hadn't been for her, I would haven't been alive. I would have been never come to Equestria. I would never have met you. Nightshade looked sullen. I can't understand why she might uh, like me, but that doesn't change the fact that I don't feel the same. They both sat for a while, processing what happened. That's when Angel took out a watch and shook it in front of him. Oh, that's right. I'm going to Applejack for dinner to meet the rest of the family. I better get going. Thanks, Angle. With that, Nightshade headed out. Angel closed the door behind him. Instead of slamming it like he would normally have done, having to see the whole thing, he was understanding and tried to comfort Fluttershy. Why doesn't she understand? Fluttershy asked the buddy. This is something you can't force. It takes me a month to get him open up at all. And she thinks that she can do something like that. I did say we were just friends, but nobody can see that I want to be more. On his way, Nightshade recovered his past lost years from the forest and narrowly avoided a buck from Big Mac when he arrived. It turns out she did tell him, and he's just a prankster. You never think because he's always so stoic, but that's why it's not expected. After that, they went in for dinner. She introduced him for the family. Once they all inside, they had begun the proper introduction. Well, here's Applebloom, who you already know. That's my big brother, Big Macintosh. She motioned to Red Stallion. His head came up to Nightshade's chest. He was really big for a pony. Yep. And this here is Granny Smith. She motioned to elderly pony in a chair. The old mare looked up. Well, why, hey, hello, you, Sonny. Applebloom told me about you. Get this much. Living in the Everfree, that's a big deal. I don't go near that place one bit. I used to be quite adventurous myself, though, until I got old, she said. Nightshade's eyes went wide as she looked at elderly Pony, who was clearly ill. He was about to point it out, though, picking out what he felt, AJ explained. Red Smith has been taking care of all of us since Ma and Pa passed. While me and Big Mac can take care of ourselves, we got our hooves full with the farm. So she take care of Applebloom, though she been sick with a cold for the past week. I had to get back baking double time to get ready for this evening, the farm pony said. Nightshade's eyes went back to normal, and he thanked them all for having him. They ate delicious apple products, apple tours, apple pie, apple crumble, everything apple you can think of. He devoured it with gusto. While he ate, he noticed Granny Smith coughed through whole meal, while having trouble eating. Once the were gone, Applejack, Big Mac, and Applebloom went to wash the dishes. insisting that the nightshade sit as he was their guest. Granny Smith fell asleep in her chair. He slowly walked up to her elderly mare, put his hand on her head, and she immediately stopped coughing. Her face gained color, and it drained from his, and he felt sore all over. Hey, Applejack, I'm going go outside for a minute, okay? He called out into the kitchen. All right, Geocube, she called back. Nightshade walked outside into the orchard. He relaxed a bit, while he found Applejack right behind him with a scowl on her face. What the hell did you do just to my granny? She didn't yell. She was loud enough for him to know that she was mad. Damn, I hope you wasn't to notice. At least wouldn't confront me on it, he said softly. I ain't coughing or nothing. Tell me, what did you do? She demanded. Nightshade looked depressed. For a moment, Applejack was unsure whether she would be mad or felt sorry for him. All right, I tell you, but you have to promise not to say anything about it, ever, he said. She looked at him confused. I'm serious. You can't tell anyone or any pony. You can't talk to me about it. You can't even talk about it in idle thought. If you do, and my secret gets out, I have to leave Equestria, he said. Now she was scared. What was he about to tell her that was so important, so secretive, that she could never tell a soul? I promised to never say a word. Cross my heart, hope to fly, stick a cupcake in my eye. She wasn't mad about anyone. Had to look, trying to understand. Come with me, he said, walking to the edge of the Everfreeze forest, to the nearest the farm. Nightshade laid his hand on a tree. One by one, Applejack watched in horror as 6 big, strong, healthy trees suddenly died. Before I came to Equestria, there was someone who I thought was my friend. He was dying, wanted to make amends for those who he had hurt. Now you know I can use my power to transfer exhaustion to injuries. But that's not all there is. There is something else I can do, something that's only Celestia, Luna and Lyra, myself, and now you know about it. It can pass years. Nightshade began to cry. That my friend, I gave him an extra year, enough time for him to do right all the wrongs he had done. When he found out about my power, he didn't care about it anymore. He wanted me to use my power to make him immortal. I refused, so he tried to kill me and take it. Because of that, I had to go on a run. While I was running, Lyra used a spell that brought me here. His eyes was full of tears. But if you can make ponies, people, immortal, why not? I mean, never having to die, wouldn't that be a good thing? Applejack asked. You would think so, but it's not. All things, even the princes themselves, with lifespans over several million years, eventually dies. It's the way of the world. All things must die eventually, to make way for the new. When we live, it is to make the better life for those who came after we are gone. If we never go, then life is pointless. The world will become overcrowded and will become unbearable to support the population. It will get sick and die. Which is why nothing should be immortal. While we call the princess immortal in truth, they just have lifespan so long we can't possibly measure it. One day, after the descendants are gone, they too will pass. If my power, if I use it, would let me outlive all things, it's not natural, and shouldn't be done. In a moment of weakness, I helped someone who I thought was a good man, and I paid for it, he said, tears streaming from his eyes. I still don't get what's has to do with my granny. She's getting on in years. Have been thinking about it, he said. Applejack suddenly realization. Well, ever since this past summer, she was getting worse. We took her to a doctor, said Orange Mary sadly. Who knew? Me and Big Mac, she answered, tears now welling up in her eyes. And Apple Bloom? Sakes no. We wouldn't tell her Granny's going to die. She's too young. It would crush her. She never knew her parents. Granny is all she has, and she could go any day now. Applejack felt terrible having to tell him that. Not any day. Tonight. She will pass in her sleep, Nightshade said. Applejack began to cry as well. At least she would have, not anymore. Applejack sat silent and thought for a moment before her eyes went wide. You didn't? She said. Yes, I did, he answered. Applejack looked at him, both eyes tears pouring out of them. Why? Why did it once before? You almost died because what happened. Why did you do it again? She asked, sobbing. Applebloom, you said yourself. Gran Smith is all she has left. You and Big Mac are grown up. She was still young. She wouldn't be able to take it if it would be able to give her lost her. I gave her 10 years, enough time for her to watch Applebloom grow up. She may be old, and she had a good life, but she still has a job to do, he explained. While I get what you can't have every pony became immortal, why couldn't you just do it for a few, or even just yourself? Look at the trees, he told her. She looked back at the 6 trees, full of life, moments before, now dead. Everything has a cost. The flame of life in the tree burns long, but not as vibrant as yours or mine. For me to give her 10 years, I had to take 200 from these trees. And yes, but it was only once. Could you imagine if anyone else found out? All Equestria would have come to me, demanding that I give their loved ones one more time. If I refuse, they would hate me and try to get revenge. If I say yes, it turned back to the dead trees. Then it would be this, on a grand scale. If I use my powers irresponsibly, it would mean the end of the world. He said. They both sat in the grass at the edge of the orchard for a long time. Before he finally spoke up again. And this is why I didn't want you to find out. Please, don't say anything. And don't come to me and ask me to extend her life once more. I wouldn't be able to say no, he wept. Applejack looked at him, finally understanding his pain. What had caused him to be this way he was. Even though they had met not that long ago, he had gave her a gift, at the expense of causing himself a great deal of pain. This was not to make her granny live forever. It was to give her more time in order to raise Applebloom. She finally understood and thought what he must gone through every day, the pain and the temptation he faced. She knew that given the choice, she would not make the right one. I promise, she said simply and hugged him, both still crying. After time, they dried their eyes, to make it look as they haven't been crying. even though they failed it miserably. They went back to the house. Nightshade thanked them for the dinner and said goodbye to everyone, including the soundly sleeping Granny Smith. Arriving at Fluttershy's cottage, there was only word about him coming home so late. Scully was already in bed, so he told her what happened in full detail. He could trust her not to tell anyone, because he knew she could never cause him that pain. I guess I'll talk to Lyra in my sleep. I'll try to work things over with her. She's been knocking on my mind's door for a while now. I guess it's time to let her in. He told Fluttershy who, although little unverted that some strange and overly frowned on for a unicorn was going to be in his head. She knew that they need to solve the issue what's been happened earlier today. Hey Lyra, Nightshade said. He saw that she had been crying, and she saw that he had been doing the same. Hey Nightshade. What's with the woodwork? She responded. Something happened at Applejack's. I ended up telling her and Fluttershy my past. It's not something I wanted to talk about, but I didn't have a choice, he said sullenly. Yeah, I want to talk about earlier today, Lyra said meekly. He simply said, okay. It's just I have been seeing humans my entire life, through my dreams. I worked so hard and I finally got one. You aren't like the others though. You're kind, caring, determined and strong. She said the last word with slightest hint of lust. I saw you at the race today. You were so graceful, shining in the sun, your powerful muscle kicking in the ground. You looked like a god. I've all been fascinated by humans, and you are amazing, even for a human standards. I just, she paused, love you. Nightshade was a little surprised, but it also made sense. The human-obsessed pony falling in love with a human whose life she saved, and who she dreamed about. But it was all one way. That's the thing though, Lyra. I don't love you. Yes, you saved me. And yes, you brought me here, into this magnificent world. And I'm happier here than I ever been. But I don't feel the same way about you that you feel about me. I can't shake the feeling that wasn't a human. If I was a pony, you wouldn't feel the same way, even though we are still shared by the same bond we have. Am I right? Aren't I? It was a little harsh, but Lyra needed to think about it. I guess you are. A lot of your appeal is that you're different. You're interesting, but you aren't a pony. You're a human. It still doesn't change the way I feel about you, she said, determinedly wanting him to accept her. And that doesn't change the way I feel about you. While I like us to stay as friends, I don't think you should come into my mind anymore. It hurt him to say it, because she always had been there, but it was for her own good. It wasn't right for her to be sticking around something that she couldn't have. You like Fluttershy, don't you? She asked. Well, it doesn't change the fact that I said it was true. Yes, I like Fluttershy, even though I did not that would not change the way I feel about you. She said, but not as he said yes. Lyra wasn't listening anymore. She was gone. Now she had tossed and turned, unable to sleep. What Lyra said and did was not right. She wasn't going to listen to reason. Meanwhile, Lyra lay awake, crying, and felt a dark presence in her mind. Poor, poor pony. Why do you cry? It asked. The one I loved does not return my affection, she said, not knowing who she'd talked to. And you must make him love you, the voice said. But, but how? She asked. Let me help you. Okay, there we have the next chapter. And as I said, sorry for the delay. Having things to do with my friends and not being sitting with my computer is quite a good change for one thing, but I'll try to keep up my readings to Mondays and Tuesdays, or at least Wednesdays. 2 days a week, one chapter each. I'll not do more than that now, because it takes up so much time. So see you next time. Zulu signing off.